Like that's almost more valuable than a showing that leaves no feedback.
I think this is going to be interesting in the coming months.
Yeah.
Because listings are going to become what they were in the past, which is gold. If you're just going to be adversarial and combative the whole time, that agent is not going to be your friend. They're going to be like, good riddance.
Please don't like it. Please don't like it.
Right. I
do not want to deal with this person.
That's what we always say. Be the agent other agents want to work with.
Clients come and go, but the realtors, the good ones, are there for your career.
Hi, Alissa.
Hey, Katy.
Welcome to episode 258, Making Real Estate Friends.
Real friends.
Real friends.
I will say, real estate friends are like my favorite friends.
Are they your only friends?
Maybe. No.
They're not your only friends.
They're not, but I do spend a lot of time.
Why are they your favorite friends?
I think it's because if you go to lunch with them or vacation, like with you, if I need to say, hey, I just need to go get in my computer for 20 minutes, it's like, oh yeah, okay.
Yes.
Some friends are like, no,
you can't work on vacation.
You can't work. And I'm like, but it's not bad, really. I just want to do something real quick.
I got to do this real quick.
It's like we understand each other.
It's like the story of my life. I just got to do this real quick.
Yeah, solidarity. You know, we understand each other. We have that in common. And real estate, when you're a real estate agent, it's a big part of your life.
Yeah.
It's all consuming.
It could be.
It could be. So it's nice having friends that help you balance that out. And
so like today, what are we going to do? Help people find their real estate community?
So I've had a few people recently with all the changes going on in real estate and brokerages are being bought and sold and closed and opened. And there's just a lot of agents like switching brokerages or transferring. Like my company was just bought.
Right.
You know, there's so much going on.
A lot of transition.
A lot of transition. And one conversation in particular I had with someone where, you know, they were just feeling kind of lonely in real estate. And you do have to work really hard. And it is hard, especially in certain seasons of life, to have really, like, friendship takes work.
Yes, regardless of your profession.
Regardless of your profession, friendship takes work. And with real estate, it's almost like, especially if you're in the season with like little kids or you have something else outside of it that's time consuming, aging parents, other responsibilities, sometimes the real estate community is all you really have. And I know not all you really have.
Right.
Friendship wise is where I was going with that.
This is all you have time for.
Yes. It's like killing two birds with one stone.
Right. It's just like having any type of work friends.
Yeah, it just makes the job go to work better.
So, sure.
It makes the job better.
Yeah, and you need the support also because especially if you're in a season where you're taking care of some other people or you have some personal things that take up a lot of your time. You need the support. You also need the support because if the market is tough or you need to be able to bounce ideas off of someone else that knows.
So part of the reason that my particular friend was struggling, okay, so she's been with a few different companies and then finally just decided to be a company of one.
Okay.
So let's just call it Alissa Jenkins Realty.
Sure.
I am now my own, by myself, alone.
Right. And honestly, you feel that way a lot even when you're within an office. Because you
Yeah.
don't have to go into the office at all.
You don't.
To do your job.
Right.
Okay,
It's very
she
easy.
was like, not only am I not going to go, I am the office.
Right.
Okay.
So she's like, it's just hard because I've lost so many friends along the way. And it's not that, she's lost them because they're like, oh, we're not friends anymore. But if you don't see them, it fizzles.
Right.
And
you got to work at it.
She was like, I just see that you have friends in real estate. And I said, well, again, I think that this episode today, I kind of just went back to the basics of our intro.
Yeah.
Community over competition.
Right.
Stop comparing yourself. Because I told her, save the date for our July community check-in, July 18th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. We look forward to these lives because we get to know you as much as you know us.
Summer is such a busy time, and add to that, the industry changes. We wanted to take this time to check in and chat with you.
If you are not in community, we invite you to join now. In addition to our monthly lives, you will be able to join our referral list, get the full prospecting templates pack, have access to the full podcast search feature and many other perks.
Head over to hustlehumblypodcast.com/membership to sign up.
We'll see you on July 18th. You can't compare me because I started at one company in 2011 and I'm still there.
Right.
You've been to a few, which is fine. And now you are, broker of one. So I can imagine that would be
harder to find people.
A little isolating.
Yeah.
Nobody to talk things out with. No office secretary to say hey to.
Right.
It's no broker to call. You're the broker.
You're it. End of the line.
Right. So I thought if she's struggling, I'm sure there are other people out there just feeling a little bit alone. I've had people message me from other markets and say, hey, I'm going to be president of our board next year, and I'm just trying to find a way to get our realtor community to play nicer together. Their particular market struggles with cutthroat and, yes, that's out there. But I think the top ones that are doing most of the sales for the most part are usually embracing some sort of
community
collaboration within their transactions, or they'll eventually fizzle themselves out of business.
Or just not have any friends.
Not have any friends, exactly. So it's been a while. So in fact, I asked you before this, have we ever recorded one about community over competition? And you were like, yeah, episode number 36.
Not only was it episode number 36, in some weird turn, it seems to not have been listened to that much. So maybe this time around.
Yeah, it's pretty low on the totem pole of downloads compared.
Out of 250 episodes.
Yeah, it's like in the bottom 10.
In the bottom 10.
In the bottom 10 of how many times it's been listened to.
Are y'all trying to tell us you don't love the mission of the show?
Right. So if you feel like you need, we did not listen to it. We recorded it in 2020.
I don't even remember what happens.
Yeah, I have no idea what we talked about.
But I do think that it just brings back to light the mission of the show, and that there is a lot of comparison in the industry. And it is sometimes hard to make a friend with someone in your market because you are competitors, and especially if you're within the same sphere, so that maybe you're competing for the same relatives or the same friend group, and it hurts whenever they pick someone other than you. And so there is some tension there, right?
Yeah, I just was talking to an agent who lost a really good friend because her friend was a realtor, and she told her friend that she was getting her real estate license. And instead of being supportive, I guess maybe her friend felt threatened or like, oh, well, I don't know if you're made for this. Just
they stop being friends.
They stop being friends.
How that's sad
is that?
That's
I know.
Super sad.
And she was like, I don't know if she's like, and I'm having trouble communicating with my database because I'm like, well, she's already upset at you.
Yeah, what difference?
Just communicate with your database.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're the type of person people would rather work with than someone that abandons a friend over nothing.
That's hard.
So I just think that, especially in a market where everything else is kind of tough and hard and under extreme scrutiny right now, the relationship that we have with each other is more important than ever. How we are conducting our business with each other is more important than ever. And I heard someone say that the clients are the ones that come and go.
Yeah.
It's the agents.
You're going to have to work with them again.
We stick together. We work together. We cross paths. We show each other's listings. We see each other at CE.
Right.
We see each other more than we see our clients typically.
Right. Like, for instance, in our market, it's like you have 4,000 coworkers.
Yes.
It's a lot, right? They're all they're doing the same job. So you could cross paths with them any number of times.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but let's start with, how do you make a realtor friend?
And I thought this episode would be so great because you and I are so different, and I'm with a large brokerage and you're with a smaller boutique brokerage. And I feel like we're both intentional in our own ways with our relationships with other agents.
For sure.
Like, you do such a great job at asking people to go to lunch and messaging people on social media and keeping a conversation going.
I'm always talking to Jay. I'm like, well, my friend in, Maine or my friend here. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't know. I have all these online friends. Like, I know who they are. We talk regularly. They are my friends.
I know.
I mean, like, they're obviously not all at the same level of depth. But
you even talk on the phone with some of these people.
I have talked on the phone with a few people I have met online.
Yeah.
But I think maybe if you are in a more cutthroat particular market where it does seem pretty adversarial and it's not like everyone's buddying up and feeling community, start by making friends outside of your market. You just need some realtor friends. It doesn't have to be realtor friends in your office or your market, although those are the ones that can help you see the trends of what's going on in your market. See how buyer and seller behavior is going, like figure out problem solving that has to do with something specific to your area. So I do think they're very important.
Yeah.
But if you're having struggles there, don't just not have friends.
Right.
Start outside of your market. Find some people online that resonate with you and start just chatting with them. People will talk to you. People love a DM.
Yeah.
They will answer you. They will be like, oh, great. I mean, you can just ask questions or whatever. Find someone that matches up with what you like.
Yeah. And you're so good about just like keeping up with people's lives in that way.
Well,
but taking it to the next level by, maybe even like texting them and being like, hey, how's this going? Or how'd that transaction play out?
Right.
I think that's great.
I don't think it's crazy to be like, let's jump on a call or start your own group that's like 4 or 5 agents from all over that want to get on a Zoom once a month and mastermind. Or then you build your own community. You can also find some communities where the people are already in community and you can join in, right? Like there's tons of groups.
And that was sort of one of the things that another agent was talking to me about was she was trying to find some professional type friends, looking at B&I groups and things like that. And it's like all those things cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, too, where you want to make sure you have exhausted all of your free resources of community before you go pay for things.
Yeah, agreed.
Before you join expensive clubs and groups, have you even tried volunteering in some of the free ones or leading something?
Going to some classes with other agents. Talking to them during the break.
We have an agent in our market that does all of their CE outside of Baton Rouge.
I think that's pretty smart.
Because he just likes to go and see how are things going over here in New Orleans. Like, how's your market doing? And gives a few cards out, networks, but then is intentional by making sure he friends those people on social media or handwrites them a letter if he got their card in exchange. Just sort of nurturing that relationship. Yes, it's a benefit for referrals, but it's also just a benefit to have.
Agreed. Very much. Okay, what would you tell someone, though, that was maybe in a small brokerage or even if they're in a large brokerage and wants to make friends outside of it? Like, what are some tips? What are some things you would tell them to do?
I mean, the first thing that I did when I became a new agent was started volunteering at our local board of realtors.
Okay.
That is really how I met the majority of my friends.
Yeah.
Like some of my greatest friends, I have never worked at the same company with them. We served on different committees and there's fun committees. Like, before kids, I was on the social committee and we were just planning parties and having fun. I don't even think we have a social committee anymore, but
we're not being very social.
Like went to leadership committees and board of directors, and you travel sometimes. You don't have to, but when they would do the CE in Lake Charles at the big casino, that's so nice. We would just all go. And it was just nice to have people that were all there for the same thing. We're going to classes together. We get dinners together as a group. Our particular state has LR Leadership, which is Louisiana REALTOR Leadership, which is a pretty intensive program. But I did it in 2015, and it's 4 weekends out of the year.
Okay.
And each weekend, you spend a weekend in a different major city in Louisiana. So, like, Baton Rouge was one of the weekends. New Orleans was one of the weekends. We went further up north. And then we went, I forget where else. But we went to 4 different ones.
Okay.
And stayed there for the weekend and did our classes and our leadership program. And it was just like some of those people are my great friends to this day. So I think there's just so much.
A meaningful amount of time with them.
Yeah.
Right?
It's hard just like coming and going.
Right.
Now, I have gotten such response from handwriting letters after closing to the other agent.
I bet.
People are like, oh my, like it'll be 2, because, you know, sometimes I don't write it the day of closing.
Yeah.
I'm catching up and I'll write 8 at one time.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's funny because I know when they're getting received, because all at one day I'll get text that's like, I just got your note. Like,
cute.
Thank you so much. You know,
right.
Like, how often are you told you're appreciated?
Right.
and that it was a good transaction, and thank you for your professionalism. And
yeah,
you know, it's like you know when you work with someone, if you like how it went, just like me and you, we enjoyed our transaction.
It's easier when you're in the trenches of a transaction with someone. It's easy to figure out if you would be friends or not. Right?
Yes.
Like you're just having to talk a lot. You're trying to work through problems. You see like kind of how they are under stress.
Yes.
You're really seeing it all. So it'd be like, well, you're joking about the same thing. Like, you know, it just, you figure it out. So I also do think it's important to show your personality a little bit during that time period. Like you don't have to be a robot. Right?
Yeah,
like you can have some sense of humor. Like my favorite agents to work with are the ones that I know are going to like joke or tease or like whatever. But you're like, oh, it's you. Okay, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have to be unpleasant.
Sure.
And then you could make friends later. I also think friends of friends are good, right? So I was approached once to join a local mastermind by my previous buyer's agent. She had moved on to another company, but she and someone there wanted to start a mastermind. They're like, hey, we would like for you to come. And I'm like, okay. And then it would be like, we were each going to bring someone from a different office.
Yeah.
And then you met like a group of 12 people who were in different offices that maybe you wouldn't have normally been friends with, but it starts from one person and it kind of is just like a chain, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's fun. There's a lot of ways you can do that. You can just reach out to one person or maybe you reach out to someone who used to be in your office that you really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Right? So you had a relationship and maybe you've lost touch, but bring them back in. Or you just had a transaction. Bring them back in. Like go to a coffee after that.
Yeah. I think too, like anytime you start hearing a certain name a few times, but you've never met that person, sometimes I'll be like, maybe I just need to meet this person.
Right? You're like, they keep
in real
coming up.
life, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll just be like, hey, I heard your name come up about this and wanted to see if you wanted to grab lunch or coffee one day. You know,
I mean, I just reached out to you because you gave that webinar.
Yeah.
Like, how do I do my business? I talk to agents all the time. And you just reach out to people who seem like they're open to that, right?
Yeah.
I also think you can probably make some decent friends by getting on the agent tour circuit.
Yes.
I feel like some of those people are repeats, so you would be seeing the same. Like if you were
regulars.
If you were an office of one and you just started showing up to those type of events that are everyone is invited, eventually people are going to get used to seeing you and be like, oh, hey, it's you again. How's it going? You know?
I also think people like to reciprocate. So if you're an agent of one and you are going to the tours and you are going and giving good feedback to agents that are holding their listing open, when it comes time for you to hold your listing open and you invite those people specifically, I think you'll be surprised how many people will show up. I even had one where my seller really wanted me to have an agent open. And so I did. And I go when it's my friends and stuff like that. So I invited certain people and like one wasn't able to come. I didn't even notice that they weren't there. But later that night, I got an email from her and she was like, hey, so sorry I missed your agent tour today, but I went through all your MLS photos and ran some comps and made you notes.
Wow.
So that you can just share it with your seller.
Holy smokes.
That
was so nice.
So nice. She said, I was like, you didn't have to do that. She was like, it took like 15 minutes. Like, not a big deal.
Oh,
so if you ever see an agent that's struggling with the listing, maybe y'all can offer to like listing swap and go look at each other's listing in person or just on the internet.
Yeah.
And give each other some advice so that you can reach out to your seller and say, hey, I had another agent take a look at this. I feel like I just needed a fresh pair of eyes because I've looked at it so much.
Yeah.
And here's some additional feedback we got.
Yeah.
How easy is that?
Very
like that's almost
easy.
more valuable than a showing that leaves no feedback.
Absolutely.
At least you are putting forth effort and you're helping each other out.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Same thing with sharing each other's listings.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm not sure about? This is sort of off topic. I've lately, agents from like other smaller brokerages have been asking to hold listings open.
Okay.
That like aren't within their company.
Okay.
Just like, hey, looking to do an open house. But to me, I'm like, I don't know. It just seems like because that listing is held by that broker and that brokerage sign is in the yard.
Fair.
That for an open house of sorts.
I would be curious to hear the broker's opinion on this.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, well, as the person who's trying to sell it, if I don't want to hold it open and my seller wants it to be open, or I can't hold it open and the seller wants it to be open, well, there's a able-bodied agent that's excited to hold it open. It seems like that would be okay. It is probably a little confusing, though, to the public. They would assume that when they're walking in, that's the listing agent. So it would have to be really well explained.
Yeah, very transparent.
Like, hey, I'm just holding this open house for Alissa, But if you as the listing agent and your broker don't care if someone else is getting that, I think this is going to be interesting in the coming months.
Yeah.
Because listings are going to become what they were in the past, which is gold.
Yeah.
They're always been gold, but I think they're going to really level up to where it's like, I wouldn't be giving away my listings to have open house because the buyer pool may shrink.
Yeah.
For agent. And like, I think you're going to want to do those open houses. You're going to want to catch those sign calls. Like, but I don't know.
I know that was a little off topic. It's just been happening more. So I've been like, I wonder what the protocol is for that.
I mean, I think it's allowed for sure. It's allowed. But like, I guess it would just be dependent on how your broker felt about it. To me, it's like whatever gets a house sold.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times agents want to share on their social media a listing that's not theirs.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me at all.
No, it's similar. Wouldn't that be like a similar concept? Like, well, okay.
Yeah, they're sharing that one.
Right.
There's so many real estate Facebook groups out there. Connie prefers us to just not comment because of how negative and controversial they can be at times. However, even when I served on the board of directors and stuff, I was always trying to respond to the complainers.
Yeah.
Just to be like, wow, in a positive way. Sounds like you're really passionate about the issues in our MLS. You should definitely join the MLS committee and make a real difference.
Right. I know exactly where you're needed.
Right. I can help you get involved here. And I think that that's just a reminder too, that if there's something you're passionate about within your industry, I do believe in giving back to your industry.
Yeah.
If you can. Hence the podcast.
Obviously.
And before the podcast, it was the board. And it was serving on committees to keep things running smoothly. But I also, like in those groups, if you're looking for community, you see similar names over and over again. And if you are someone looking for community, always be a positive responder. So I laugh because me and my sister were both in the same huge moms group.
Okay.
And there was a lot of questions in there about nursing.
Okay.
And so my sister's a nurse. And so people be like, oh, I'm trying to like nurse my baby and it's not going well. It was like these notifications were always popping up in my feed because my sister was always commenting on them.
And they're like,
oh, you know her and you're in this group.
Commenting again.
So it would pop up in my feed all the time.
She probably was making quite a lot of friends.
And I thought to myself, dang, she is like real. And I mean, she's a stay-at-home mom. And I do think she loves helping other moms.
Right. Like, and that's a connection.
It's a connection. It's a passion for her. But I told her, I was like, you're such a good commenter. Like, you're so supportive. And she always ends it with like, you're doing great, mama, and like stuff like that. And I'm like, if only all groups were like this. Right. But you could be that light. You're showing your personality through what you post online.
Yeah. Be the good you want to see in the world, right? So you could be the one that's answering kindly or answering at all. Sometimes when you see a post and no one responds, I'm like, oh, no. Yeah. Someone needs to help this person out.
Right. Our favorite agent marketing tool is now a monthly membership with no contracts. Cancel anytime, and you can get your first month for half price with our code HustleHumbly.
Modern Agent Social Club, MASK for short, is the marketing membership that pairs current content trends with timeless strategies to help you grow your real estate business from the comfort of your pool lounger.
When you join MASK, you'll have instant access to relatable and approachable content every single month because your brand needs you in it.
You'll also get a weekly private podcast giving you the creative strategies you need to stay relevant, marketing campaigns to grow your email list, and weekly email templates to keep you top of mind with your database and so much more.
We have great news for you. The doors to MASK are open now with a bonus. The Modern Agent Starter Pack is your 5-day plan that takes you from overwhelmed to knowing what to post with confidence consistently.
Head over to hustlehumblypodcast.com/mask and use the code HustleHumbly to get $50 off your first month. That's hustlehumblypodcast.com/MASC. I also see a lot of times, especially in our group, where people make a connection over a question or like a problem, and they're like, shoot me a DM and we can talk about it more.
Yes, I love that.
There's a lot of people who want to help. People love to help. Love to help. So I think commenting is a great tip, especially to make some online friends.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about how being a good co-op agent could also make you some friends?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go through the list of how to work cohesively with other agents from, do you remember what episode that? I think it was 129, how to be a great co-op agent. So let's just run through them really quick so you can remember what it was like to be a good agent and how that might make the other agent want to be your friend, right?
How many times do you think your relationship with the other agent helped your transaction? Like because you knew them before the transaction?
Plenty.
I know, so many times.
I mean, that's why your reputation is so important. That's why the way you behave during a transaction is so important. That's why you have to walk the fine line of negotiating for your client, but also making the situation pleasant for everyone.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're just going to be adversarial and combative the whole time, that agent is not going to be your friend. They're going to be like, good riddance.
They will not want to ask you to coffee.
I don't want to talk to you anymore. You were so rough to deal with. And then those are the ones you get an offer from them later and you're like, oh no, not again.
Yeah, I don't want to
again.
Work. There's like one that took me to arbitration one time. And I'm like, every time I have a buyer that wants to see one of the listings, I'll show it, but I'm like, please don't like it. Please don't like it.
Right. I
do not want to deal with this person.
That's what we always say. Be the agent other agents want to work with, right? So like, how can we do that?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Remember that everyone has the same goal.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where I feel like sometimes agents go askew is they're like, well, I'm representing my client.
Right.
And I'm like, well, does your client want to get to the closing table?
Right. Are we all
because mine does.
Yeah.
And it's on the same house. So whatever we need to do to get this house to closing.
Same goal.
Yeah. But they feel like if they're not playing hardball, they're not doing a good job.
Right. Have correct and detailed information and required documents in the listing. So use your professionalism.
Yeah.
Leave detailed showing instructions on the listing. Make it easier for the agents to show. Send buyer agents a good luck message if their buyers lost out on your listing.
I think we have that in is it in email templates?
Feels like we had multiple.
We had a rejected offer template, but it might have I don't remember.
I know, but
it was very kind.
If you're going to reject an offer, yes, be kind.
Be kind about it.
Right.
Not see signed attached rejection.
Boo. If you cannot meet a deadline, communicate with the other agent as to why you cannot meet the deadline and let them know when they can expect the task to be completed. Like, don't leave them hanging out there. Old Gigi style. Like, when are you going to call me?
Yeah.
When are you going to call me? Act ethically and respect the rules of the business. Okay. Keep your clients in check. Don't have them contacting the other agent. That's a good one.
I think on that note too, this is where buyer rules become so important. I really, one of the buyer rules is please go to open houses. Always tell them Alissa Jenkins is your agent.
Yeah.
The amount of phone calls I get from agents being like, hey, your client came to my open house.
And do you know why? Because they're like, I want to work with Alissa and I know that she can sell. So
let's do this.
I would be like, hey, your buyer was here. Why don't you get them to buy?
Yes. I mean, and it lets me know the buyers are doing their homework, but it lets this other agent hear my name and know, okay, I'm out there. Maybe we could make this work.
That's great. I love that. Make sure your clients know what to expect to cut down on having to reach out to the cooperating agent to ask for, in quotes, crazy stuff. Okay, so make sure your clients have...
Can we come back again in the house? Can your sellers pack up the kid and dog so we can measure for how big the refrigerator is?
No, every day. Be mindful of the condition of the home you listed before closing. Make sure it's clean and cleared out when the buyers get the keys. Open the door for a buyer on your listing if the buyer's agent is unavailable. It's your listing. Help get it sold. And people will complain about this, but it's like, it is your listing.
Yeah.
Like if they really can't get there, you got to play nice.
Right.
Within reason. Ask if you can pick up signs, lockboxes, keys, etc., to help the other agent out, like at closing.
Yeah.
How many times have you done the walkthrough right before closing? You just call and be like, hey, do you want me to grab this lockbox?
Yeah. And they're like,
can I get your sign?
Please.
Right? Like, do you need to make a trip over? And send a thank you note after closing.
Yeah.
Those were the tips from episode 129.
And there were so many other good tips. In fact, I made an appraiser friend.
You did?
Because of our appraiser template.
Oh.
So I had one recently that had a lot of documents. It was my big one. It was like 5,000 square feet, 2-story, all these extra nooks and bonus rooms and pool house and pool. So when I saw who the appraiser was, I sent the email template that just says, thank you so much for doing the appraisal. Here's the terms of the contract. I have attached the following: the plat map, so you have the lot dimensions, the blueprint showing the square footage in case you need to check your measurements. And so I've been getting this certain agent. I've had them like 3 times this year, just on rotation on my listings. And they haven't
the same appraiser.
The same appraiser. And they usually just respond like, thanks, like nothing special.
Right.
But this third time on the big one, and he was like, I'm not going to lie, when I saw that I was about to go do this one and I was going to have to set aside all this time to make sure everything was correct because it's such a large house, I was so thankful when I saw you were the listing agent because I was like, sweet, she's going to send me a floor plan.
Yeah, like good
so he can check, you know? And I was like, of course.
Right.
And it's like, I thought he never even cared.
Right.
That
he was like,
that.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's like, you just never know how, it's like, if you can be helpful, be helpful.
It doesn't hurt anything.
It hurts nothing. Hurts no one to be helpful.
You might make a friend.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point, too. If you're wanting to build community in this business, you could also make friends with appraisers, lenders, inspectors, anyone that understands kind of what you're going through.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be other agents.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I have such an amazing relationship with my lenders. Definitely the home inspector. Like, it's just so nice. It makes the job so much easier when you know you're about to go sit 3 hours with another professional that you are friends with.
I'm usually excited to go to an inspection.
Me too.
We're going to chat.
It's going to be fun, catch up.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I feel like because of the podcast, I talk to you more than anybody in my entire life.
That's true. True story.
We have hours of conversation.
Uninterrupted conversation. And I will tell everyone who's listening, that makes a difference in how you feel about the job.
Oh, yes.
Because you can talk through anything you need. Like, we are forcing ourselves to talk through it, but I haven't felt stressed or like upset because we're talking it through, right?
Yeah.
If you have a problem, be like, this is what it is. Let's hash it out, right?
And on that note, I think it kind of goes back to your vibe attracts your tribe.
For
if
sure.
you feel like you're not getting advice that you like, that is helpful.
Right.
I met a new agent recently, poor sweet thing. Found the podcast and was like, thank you so much. I am realizing that the brokerage I started at, I just thought this was how real estate was.
Yeah.
But I'm realizing that like these scripts are just icky.
Yeah.
Like they're teaching me things like, well, not your problem. And, do you. And it was just like not very collaborative.
Yeah.
And so I think on the flip side, if you find yourself in a funk I reach out to my real estate friends in those moments to be like, I am having a transaction that's taking its toll on me.
Right.
And I need someone that is going to walk me through it, not someone who's going to make it worse or be negative.
Yeah.
And so I mean, there's certainly been people that have come and gone throughout my life that it's like my life of real estate of, they were just they didn't necessarily love real estate.
Right.
And when I hung out with them, it kind of made me aggravated at my clients.
And you're like, wait a minute.
No.
That definitely rubs off.
It does.
Whatever people feel, they're like projecting that onto you about, you're like, well, that didn't bother me, but
now it does. That is annoying.
Oh, no. Right.
So maybe you just need to evaluate like who is your circle.
Yeah. What are the messages that they are, like what is the topic of discussion? What seems to come up a lot? How do they handle problem solving? Is it a positive discussion or is it always like, oh, woe is me. Everything's bad. The market's terrible. This is the worst job.
Yeah. It's like, the people that you want to call and have lunch with when you need a pick-me-up.
Yeah. I agree with that completely. You had a very nice quote in here from the president of our board. Do you want to read it?
Yeah.
It's you see here.
Oh, yes. Clients come and go, but the realtors, the good ones, are there for your career.
They're right.
The good
Your
ones.
Clients are there for just a tiny snippet of time.
Yeah. And you know what's even funny about that? There is 3 agents I can think of for sure off the top of my head that I started real estate with that they are no longer in real estate.
Oh, yeah?
And they send me referrals all the time.
I've had that happen too.
It's like, be kind. It can hurt nothing. It can only help you.
It can only help you.
Even being kind to agents in different ages from you, like helping those older agents with their stuff. They may help you in return as they are starting to retire or needing to refer things out. Again, the referrals are just a bonus to being kind.
Yeah.
Definitely not the whole reason, but you're not going to have any referrals if you're not the type of person that somebody wants to work with.
Right. And to send their clients to. Yeah. I think that it's easier than we think to make a friend because we're all solopreneurs, right? At the end of the day, we're all just our own business. Maybe on a team you have something, but at the end of the day, it's just you.
Yeah.
You're your whole business, right? And everyone else is just feeling that too. They're all feeling that isolation sometimes. They're all feeling the same stress or anxiety or concern about the future. Like you just have to reach out and like say, hey, I'm feeling this way. You're probably going to get a me too.
Yeah.
Like I feel that too.
And how has your transition been from like Remax to a small boutique brokerage and then the podcast also keeping you home more?
I always liked a smaller office, right? Even when I was at Remax, at biggest, it was maybe a 40 to 60 person and it kind of would fluctuate over time because that wasn't a growing office. It was more like a, reaching retirement vibes. So we didn't have a lot of like office meeting, like the stuff that you do. So I didn't feel there was a big change, you know? And even then, I was already friends with you when I worked there. I had a couple of friends there that, I stayed friends with. When I went to the smaller office is when I did get involved in that mastermind. So you can put yourself out there. And the only reason why I knew about the mastermind was because I went to support another agent friend at their agent tour.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, do you want, it wasn't like they called me out of the blue. I showed up for them, right?
Yeah.
So if you show up, you will meet people. But now I find that I have I have way more real estate friends now than I did when I was in a bigger office or ever in my career because I can meet a limitless supply of people online.
Yes.
Right? Like there are tons of them. And it's not just because of the podcast. It's because I'm in a certain group or like a, whatever. So I feel like I have definitely made more friends.
I think so too. That's what I was going to say.
Even though I am selling maybe less houses, I have more friends. And maybe more of them are outside of my market, but they still serve the same purpose.
Yeah.
Like you do not have to see someone in person for them to be, a good friend.
Sure.
And to give you that kind of like support or, fill that for space for you. It's quite nice.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
What do you think? I mean, you have always been in the same office. And agents have come and gone a lot while you were there.
Yes.
What how does it feel when an agent comes and you make friends and then they leave? Like, do you feel sad? Do you just keep reaching out? Like,
it kind of depends on the situation, I suppose. I think that it takes, so I always can tell, it's almost like I know who to get attached to and who not.
like who's going to stay around?
Well, the ones that are showing up, so our Wednesday meeting is our big office sales meeting. Tons of people. You're not there to talk. You're here to listen to the company news.
It's information delivery.
The Monday meeting is more of like a collaboration. We sit in a circle. Everybody has a moment to talk. If you're new, you introduce yourself and say what you did before. What are you struggling with to get started? So I can tell from that Monday meeting.
Yeah.
I feel like the Monday meeting is the qualifier.
Right.
If you are there and showing up, I get to know you and then we just get attached. Like you become part of the office because you're there and you're sharing your struggles and you're giving advice and you're collaborating. You're participating. If you're not participating, you're not going to have any relationship. Right. So Connie always says, like, if you go to a lunch for a networking group.
Right.
And you get there right when it starts and you sit in the back and the second it's over, you leave. You really did not need to go to that lunch. It did nothing for you.
You didn't do any networking.
You did not network. You did not put yourself out there. And I think the same goes for the office. You know, if you have a minute and you see an agent struggling on the computer, you can say, do you need help with something? Yeah. There's a reason that I try not to work at the office on Wednesdays because it's the busiest day. And if I need to get stuff done, I can't be there.
Right.
Because I have people coming in, asking for help. I go offer help when I shouldn't be always.
Right.
So I kind of know what days are better productive days. And then if I have a slower day, maybe I will go there and just say, hey, especially this summer, you know, with the kids, with Haven being home. I haven't been as regular to our Monday meeting. Yeah. And so it's like if I have a Wednesday, like I went this past Wednesday and I don't usually go to those. Yeah. Monday is more my thing.
Right.
So participating is up to you. People aren't just going to randomly call you. Yeah. We don't have a 9 to 5 that if you miss a meeting, your boss isn't calling
like,
you.
Where were you?
What? It's 9:05.
Yeah.
Are you coming in today?
Get
like
here.
Nobody's doing that. No. So it really is up to you to show up and just be present and be there. But I find that through those that share in our smaller circle of Monday morning people, those are usually the regulars that we see. And people still come and go.
Yeah.
It's almost like when they're new, they're there. I just like never left. But once they get some traction and some business, then we kind of don't see them for a minute. Yeah. And then they start having problems in their transactions and then they come back.
Right.
Because they need
y'all
advice.
are always there.
We're always there.
Always
every
there.
Monday.
Right. I mean, that's nice to have that option.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
I know. I just felt like we needed to revisit some reminders that, you know, while we're getting beat up on and the market's tough and the news is tough and everything's just kind of tough, that I do think like our president said, the realtors, the good ones are there for your career.
Yeah.
They're not going to change.
I think that it was, we shied away from it for a long time, making a community in a Facebook group for the podcast because we're like, oh, you know, we've been in so many that were negative or didn't provide value and kind of just made you like feel that competition all the time, or
like who wants another one of
the
those?
Messages were just all over the place, right? So it has been nice to make one where it seems that so far in the 2 years we've had it, the listeners that join have been like-minded and so supportive to each other and really helpful and bringing like the right vibe to the table. Mm-hmm. So that's been really nice. I mean, I've turned off all my realtor groups.
Yeah.
They got to the point where people would say the meanest things. They were not helpful. They were always complaining. You know, and they have them for every different type of realtor out there, right? You can get into a million different groups. And if you find one that's a fit for you, go for it, you know?
Right.
But I also think there are groups that have moved from maybe what was a group of people who were supporting each other into a group that's now being consistently sold to Or you must join this coaching program. Oh, you must do this. Oh, you've got to do that. Oh, it's just not why the people showed up there originally. And then it just kind of has taken this pivot. And so if you're in one of those groups, even if it used to make you feel good and it's where you made some friends, if now when you're in there, you don't feel good, it's okay to take those friends and go. You know what I mean?
I served my purpose here.
Right. You don't have to stay there all the time. And I feel like sometimes I tiptoe around, there's some bad groups out there.
Yeah.
They're not helpful.
Right.
And they're teaching realtors terrible behaviors. Terrible behaviors that I would never say is a good idea.
No.
So, maybe just reevaluate. We've said that before.
Yeah.
Where are you getting your community? Maybe that's why you feel alone.
Who are your friends?
If you're getting messages you don't even agree with, that's pretty isolating too. That's all I've got on the community over competition.
Do you want to talk about the accountability group at all?
Okay, we can for sure. So
it's newer.
It is newer. So we in our community, if you are interested in finding an accountability partner or group, we have a form you fill out, you put in your information, and then the spreadsheet, basically you can go and read through it. What time zone are these people in? When would they like to meet? Are they interested in going 12-week year style? Or it kind of has a whole series of questions they've answered, and you can go sort of, it's almost like a personals, right?
Yeah.
Where it's these
you just message people till you find a connection.
Right. Just be like, hey, you were on the list looking for an accountability partner. Did you find one? Are you still interested? I mean, I think you can also have little pods, right? Like a 3 or a 4 person group.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's so nice sometimes to grab people outside of your market.
Yeah, I think too, I was going to say that. Yes, I have been with the same company since I started in 2011. I love having realtor friends of all different companies.
Yeah.
I just think that there is so many different ways you can do this, and everybody offers something different. And I'm always fascinated to hear about what they do. And I just enjoy being able to be outside of just my office bubble.
Yeah. It's very nice to have that change. If anyone wants to join us in community, you're always welcome there. Anytime.
Yeah.
Month to month. Come in.
How do they find us?
hustlehumblypodcast.com/membership.
Okay.
And it's $25.
Yeah.
When you join, you get all of the prospecting templates, which are a $50, normally $50. So whether you like us and you decide we're your people or not, you get the templates, you can go.
Right.
So it's pretty no-brainer, right? Just give it a try. But I do like that we try to provide a little extra value there and give you some extra tools. And that's why it is a paid group. And so instead of every single realtor that rolls by who just is I join every group. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. We don't want.
Let's have some skin in the game here. We all are here to try and support each other, but also what's the value? So that's the story.
Wonderful.
Delightful.
Ready for a toast?
Yeah, let's hear a toast.
Okay, here we go.
Bye, y'all.
Belinda Franco from Albuquerque, New Mexico with Real Broker LLC in the Venturi Realty Group. I'm toasting Terry Hatcher, who is an absolute badass and introduced me to Hustle Humbly, and to Alissa and Katy. Introduced me to the podcast, introduced me to just the amazing content. And I just think that she is a wonderful human, and I appreciate doing life with her as business partners, and trying to find any way that we can create that community over competition in our marketplace in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So here's to you, Terry Hatcher. You are an absolute badass.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go to ratethispodcast.com/hustlehumbly and leave us a review or drop a comment if you're listening on Spotify.
If you have an episode topic or someone you'd like to toast on the show, please email us at team@hustlehumblypodcast.com.
Find us on social media at Hustle Humbly Podcast. Don't forget to find all of the free resources at hustlehumblypodcast.com/resources.
See you next week.